So hi, this is Anita Cameron, and I want to thank you at Disabled People Against Cuts for inviting me to speak. And I'm going to talk about kind of the state of disability rights in this age of Trump administration. And let me take a second to introduce myself. I'm Anita Cameron. I am Director of Minority Outreach for Not Dead Yet, and I'm a member of ADAPT. I've been a member of ADAPT for 32 years, and I know it was asked to speak about my arrests because, yeah, I've been arrested quite a few times, 135 times in 32 years with ADAPT. So Trump, well, we knew coming in that it was going to be a horror show for people with disabilities. And within days of his inauguration, disability references on various governmental sites were removed. From the White House site to the Department of Education site and all, they were re-examining or taking away some of the advice, advisory stuff on disability issues that was happening in various areas of government. And then as Trump picked his team, I mean, Secretary of Education Betsy DeVos, that was like, since she's been in, their special education has been, anything involving students with disabilities, it's been cut out. It's almost like students with disabilities now have little or no rights. We're seeing the hard-won rights that have been gained for people with disabilities over the past 40 years being slowly whittled away. A huge part of that is the healthcare fight. First thing Trump did when he came in was try to get rid of the Affordable Care Act. Because it was Obama, and he hates Obama, and he's racist, and he wants to get rid of any legacy of Obama that he did good. And so this was the first thing. And there were really what I would consider almost violent attacks on, you know, the healthcare and the lives of people with disabilities. And so I'm pretty sure many of you saw the stuff online about the Summer of ADAPT. You know, with the McConnell die-ins and whatnot, us fighting desperately to save our health care because we will die. That is just all there is to it. And you know, it's interesting, I gave a lot of interviews over that summer, and I told them, we're not being melodramatic. If these cuts go through, people with disabilities will begin to die. We will lose our health care, lose access to our medications, our attendance services, and all, and we will begin to die. A solution, you know, to this is the Disability Integration Act, which ADAPT, you know, wrote and we're pushing in our legislation. That's HR 2472. In the House of Representatives and S971 in our Senate. And we've got bipartisan support, so support from both parties, even Republicans, even like nasty Republicans. Some of them have, you know, came onto this. So that's kind of, you know, some of the solution to this, but this fight isn't over. I think between us, you know, continue to fight for healthcare and working on, you know, getting the Disability Integration Act passed. It's resistance. you know, certainly. But then what a lot of people don't realize is that this has a then spillover effect into the work of Not Dead Yet, because we are sisters to ADAPT. Not Dead Yet was formed, you know, by ADAPT members, and we are an organization that is vehemently opposed to assisted suicide and euthanasia, because it is a deadly form of discrimination against people with disabilities, against seniors, against sick people, against poor people, against communities of color. So what's happening is that our healthcare system is really, it's profit driven. It's all about the bottom line. And so what happens is that you have this push in some states. New York State is, you know, they've been trying to push our version of this law, but thankfully it's kind of not going anywhere now. They're pushing it as choice and all that. So what ends up happening is that because it is cheaper to offer the cocktail, the suicide cocktail, than it is to pay for someone's cancer treatments. And so what we found is that in states where assisted suicide is legal, and Oregon and California are two, you know, of the most egregious cases, we're now having insurance companies deny cancer treatment to folks who don't even want assisted suicide. They just want to get their chemo or whatever treatments that they're doing. And they're being denied and then offered this suicide cocktail, which is like $1.75 copay. You know, in some instances, far, far cheaper to pay for that than to pay. So it's going to be easier to kill you. You know, if that's the cuts that we're wanting. So this is further attack on people with disabilities, on seniors. It opens you up. We have huge racial disparities in our healthcare here in the United States. And there are studies that show that blacks in particular receive inferior care to people, you know, who are white or otherwise. And so what's going to end up happening is that, and many, obviously, black folks are likely to be poorer. So what's going to happen is, you know, coercion is going to happen because, you know, this is really expensive. Do you want this financial burden on your family? You know, here's a solution, blah, blah, blah. And there you have it. And so we are continuing to fight. This fight is not over. The summer of ADAPT isn't over, okay? The summer of ADAPT is not over. I don't think it'll ever be over. And as we are going into midterms, elections, and all that, the fight then becomes harder because the Trump administration is doing everything in their power that they can to take away the rights of people with disabilities. But we're not going to let that happen. ADAPT is not silently sitting by. Not Dead Yet certainly is not silently sitting by. There are things that, you know, we're doing. We have a sense of Congress legislation out, you know, that is bipartisan, that's saying, look, assisted suicide is a deadly public policy. You really don't want to enact this, you know, and all. And so that's one of the things that I'm going to be doing while I'm here at Nickel is approaching certain members of Congress, or certainly making visits, and really urging them to support that sense of Congress. So this fight isn't over, but thank you so much for having me speak. If you have questions of me, please feel free to email me, AnitaCameron007@gmail.com, ANITA007@gmail.com. And, you know, ask me any questions. I'll be more than happy to to follow up with any answers that you may have. This has been lovely. Thank you so much.
It's